What's up, guys? I'll be going over the problem with trying to get recruited as a short pitcher and some advice and roads you probably should take. I'm not trying to ruin your expectations, but being short, I'm 5'7", and it was a lot harder for me to get recruited than our guys being 6 foot tall as a pitcher. So I'll be going over some of the stuff that you should consider being a shorter pitcher and what you need to do in the long run and that kind of stuff. So, started off, probably the most important thing when you're as short as I am as a pitcher is I wouldn't shoot for D1 colleges right out the gate. D1, colleges are probably not going to be looking at someone that's 5'7" pitcher. It's going to be kind of, with the transfer portal, they're going to get guys who are 6 foot and over as pitchers, as most guys are 6 foot to pitch in college, or maybe a little below. But being short as me, or if you're shorter, getting into a D1, D2, it's going to be a lot harder. Probably the best route for someone that small as a pitcher is probably going a JUCO route or D3. Because the talent pool is good, but I wouldn't say it's as good as D1 or D2. So starting on that path instead of just going D1, trying to, it might not be your best option. Number two, showcases. Now, this is the one thing that, depending on what kind of player you are, if you're like a guy that can, throw 90 or has a crazy spin rate or has got that dominance as a pitcher, then yeah, maybe go to a showcase. But if you're like me, like I was a low 80s guy, kind of relied on control and being a smart pitcher, going to showcases are kind of money grabbers. Most of you might know they just want your money. They really don't care. Some of them do, but still, it's kind of a throw up, of what, they really want. They want the guys that are the best, and they're throwing 90. So, if you're throwing 80, it's going to be a hard chance to get recruited. So showcases as a small pitcher, I was told, not told, but I would hear, he's too short to pitch at showcases. So high plays are really big key, especially in showcases. And if I were you, unless maybe you can go to once, yeah, you like it, but I feel like it's kind of a way of wasting your money. Number three, this one maybe is not for being short as a pitcher or stuff, but baseball in college, as much as they say, you got to be this good to play D1, this good to play D2, or, a lot of it deals with who you're connected to, or, yes, it's true that guys get recruited and whatever, but it's also very true that it's all in who you know. Do you know the coach or whatever? People don't like to admit that, but it's true. There's a lot of guys that get in just because of that. So it is good to have good connections with people. So in case of, you want to get in somewhere, maybe you know somebody. But for me, I didn't really have that. It was just kind of, I had to go out and show what I had, and being as short as I was, and I wasn't a guy that freaking stood out like some guys that were really up there with their talent and potential. So it was kind of hard for me to get recognized. I got recognized by like one college, but so that's number three. Might be a little different than the other two I talked about, but that's really good to know. Number four, being a short pitcher, you're going to have to realize that people are going to doubt you from the beginning, being so short. Most guys, maybe it depends on your personality. You're going to have to drive through that because it's just how it is. You being that short, you just have less of an opportunity. And you're going to have people that just don't see you as a pitcher because you're so short. And you're just going to have to learn to, kind of silence people and drive yourself. And, forget about what other people think. Another key one would really be if you are 5'6", 5'7", whatever, and you're skinny, you probably need to gain weight, get built, because one of the key things that probably kept me at least alive and being at least on a college team is because I was built and muscular. Kids that are going to be like tiny and you're 5'6", they're going to take you even less serious because it's like, well, this guy's like a string bean and he has no muscle, or there's no way he can do anything. Your height's already to your disadvantage, and now you weigh 120 pounds with no muscle. They're just expecting, well, how much can he actually do, or what kind of potential could he reach? That's really key for being. If you are 5'6", make sure you're in the weight room, and eating, as much as you can. If you are like 120, probably should put on some weight. My last point, probably for being a short pitcher, you're going to have to work with the fact of, find things with you being short as a pitcher that you can use to your advantage. Like for me, when I went to college, I kind of realized the stuff I could do to become better and velo wise and whatever. I worked on driving off my back leg, and I had a very long stride when I pitched, so that it actually, when I threw 81, 82, it kind of looked like 84 because I had a long stride and my release point was out so much that it got closer and faster to the plate. And I realized that, so I worked on it, and I worked on, my lower half a lot, and I knew my strong suits and used that to gain velo instead of just, okay, well, I'm just going to continue what I'm doing and, hope for the best. You got to do things that you're good at, what you're not good at, what you got to work on. And the velo will come. It will be harder being 5'7" because you don't have any length, compared to someone that's 6 foot tall. So that's going to be kind of harder. But there's things, in everything. You can find something. Work on your arm speed. Work on, if you're really good with rotating in your upper body or good with finishing, really work on that, and you can gain velo by doing those things. So those 5 things are really important for being a guy that's short, and it's good to know, because a lot of guys go in and just think, oh, well, it's like high school, and you go to college, height literally is like what they all care about, to be honest with you. You could be 5'7", my height, and be a really good ball player, but because of your height and you have so many guys playing that are taller than you and whatever, you're not gonna. You might not even get the same respect as you should, as good you are, as good as a player you are. You might not even get the respect. But that's all part of ball. It's not like any other sport. I feel like it's kind of different. It's kind of hard to overcome. But as a pitcher, being small, you got to keep all this stuff in mind, because in the long run, it'll help you in the end. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video for anyone that's kind of in the same position I was when I was a pitcher. So, if you like the video, leave me a comment. If you have any questions about, pitching aspect of being shorter and what I need to know, let me know. I hope you enjoyed the video.